So I have a question for you. Are you frustrated with your practicing like that guy? Damn it. Come on, Q. I can't get it. Damn. Well, if you are, you've come to the right place because in this video, I'm going to give you 15 strategies or ideas of how you can improve your practicing. And some of you, maybe you're happy with what you're doing in the practice room. And if you are, great. But maybe this will give you some other ideas of ways that you can improve. Also, I want to say thank you to everybody who participated in the poll that I posted on YouTube. And it looks like most of you are you fall in that range of 1 to close to 2 hours a day on an average, which is wonderful, which is great. There were some of you who practice more than that, 2 to 3. Even there's a few of you who practice 5+ hours, which is incredible, wonderful. And then there's a small select few of you who didn't get up to 1 hour, which is also okay. Everybody's life is very different, and I understand that we're all busy. So whatever you can get in, you want to make sure you can get it in. And whatever time you do spend in the practice room, you want to make sure it's time well spent. So hopefully this video will be helpful for making sure that indeed your time in the practice room is well spent. So here we go. Okay, the first one is to create a practice schedule and or a list of practice objectives. I'm going to explain the difference between the two. So a practice schedule is a pretty detailed list of items that you want to practice, but also a list of items you want to practice and how long you want to practice each item. Okay, so maybe your warm-up is 20 minutes and then you work on your rudiments or you work on your scales for 30 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever it is. But this is to make sure that when you get into the practice room, because maybe you don't have the luxury of just picking and choosing when you practice throughout the day due to life, life happens, right? Family, job, whatever it is. So you make sure that when you get in there, you know, okay, I'm going to practice this long on these things. And then knowing that you've gotten through your whole schedule, you had a successful practice session, right? So that's practice schedule. Now, a list of practice objectives, which is what I'm doing right now. For the summer, this works best for me because I have a lot of time during the day. I'm not teaching now, so hallelujah. I'm not teaching right now, so I have a lot of free time. So it's not as pertinent for me to let myself know how long I want to work on each item. But it is very important that I hit certain things in every practice schedule. So I list those objectives and I'm very detailed. By the way, if you want to find out what I personally am practicing right now, you can visit my website and download my personal list of practice objectives for free. And my website is up there. The link to my website is up there somewhere. But in addition to that, you can download a Word document or a PDF of just a general template of a practice schedule slash list of objectives that you can plug in your own information and items that you're working on. So you can download all those items for free on my website, somewhere up there. I don't know where. Focus on quality, not quantity, right? A lot of us are so concerned with how long we're practicing, and that's the big rage. In fact, my poll, I'm asking you how long you practice, but in fact, it's more important that you're practicing well and that you're spending quality practice time in the practice room rather than a long time, because you can waste a lot of time in the practice room. So it doesn't mean that you're actually getting anything done just because you're in there a long time. So focus on quality, not quantity. Practice at your best time, right? Everyone kind of thrives and feels the most awake and has the ability to focus best at certain times of the day. For me, I'm a morning person, so I love practicing in the morning and to late or to early afternoon. After that point, I start to get this brain fog, and I feel I can't really focus the way I prefer to in the morning or the way I can in the morning. But of course, that's not always a choice. Sometimes you just have to practice whenever you can get it in. But if you have a choice, practice at your best time. choose a room or a location that has the least amount of distractions, right? We don't want to kind of be distracted by things that have nothing to do with our practicing. So if you have the ability to choose where you practice in your home or in a practice room, whatever it is, ideally you choose a place that has the least amount of distractions. So this is kind of piggybacking off of the first item of making a list of objectives that you hit. So there's two strategies. You can kind of make sure that you're hitting in every session a certain amount of objectives or goals. So for example, and that's how I practice. So for me, in every practice session, I like to make sure I address obviously my hands, the rudiments, sound, touch, feel, different grooves and styles, right? And those are vocabulary, right? Tempos. So these are all items that I feel like if I can hit that in every practice session, then I've had a successful session. And you can put them together also, right? So maybe you can work on your hands and you can work on your coordination at the same time. So you're not wasting time just on one thing. The other strategy that you can take is focusing on maybe just 2 or 3 items. So maybe for you that works better and it makes you feel like you've gotten more out of your practice session when you focus on less items. So whatever works for you, make sure that you stick to that. And then I think you'll notice progress for sure. Hey, before we continue, I just want to let everyone know that I am now accepting students for the summer for online Zoom lessons. So if you're interested, go ahead and click the link somewhere above me and sign up for as many lessons as you're interested in. But also, I want to let you know that I'm starting a new thing. If you don't want to do a formal lesson, but you just want feedback on your playing, I'm offering a chance for you to send me a video of your playing or something you're working on in the practice room, and I will send you a video back with feedback. I'll talk and give you specific feedback to whatever it is that you sent me a video of and ways that you can improve that. So if you want to take advantage of that, again, click the link above. Make sure you warm up. Warming up will warm up your body physically, obviously, and warm up your hands and your embouchure and whatever it is that you need to warm up to perform optimally. But it also warms up your brain and your mind. And it kind of puts you in that practice zone. For me, that's kind of what it does. After my warm up, which takes about 20 minutes or so, I feel like I'm in the practice zone now, and I'm ready to be productive, and I'm ready to work on things that I need to work on, and ready to focus. So spend that time to really get into and think about the things that you want to work on, and I think you'll find that it'll just kind of catapult or galvanize the rest of your practice session. This is a big one. Work on things you're not good at. I'll repeat that. Work on things you're not good at. Okay? So many of us, myself included, the temptation is to get in the practice room and to just play, right? And we're playing things that we can already play. Don't do that. Okay? We're going to get to that. And I think there's a portion of our practicing that should be focused on creating, right? And being creative and just kind of playing, practice playing. But the bulk of your practicing, I believe, should be focused on your weaknesses, things you're not good at, if you really want to improve and get better at your skills. Okay, so focus on your weaknesses and things you're not good at rather than things you are good at. Be super aware of your physical and your physiological state while you're practicing. So if you're only focused on just your technique in your hands and you're not thinking about your body, your posture, or your breathing, or how relaxed you are, all those kinds of things, if you're not thinking about all those things while you're playing, then you could possibly be practicing bad habits, right? Of keeping tension in your stomach or in your shoulders, or not really focusing on what you're doing. Maybe you're thinking about something else while you're practicing. If you do that, that's going to spill over to your performance, okay? So make sure you're always aware of what your body is doing, inside and out. And that's going to spill over to your performance to assure that you're not carrying over bad habits to those situations when you're actually performing. Consistency, consistency, consistency. Practice every day. Okay? And I know you've heard it from since you were a kid probably, but it's so important that if you want to improve your skills and improve overall, you have to practice every day. Don't work on something today and maybe even tomorrow, but then the third day you completely abandon it. If you haven't perfected it yet, and if you're not completely mastered, if you haven't completely mastered that skill, keep working on it until it feels really, really comfortable and practice every day. Okay? Consistency. Okay, this is a big one for drummers. Play and practice all different dynamics, especially the quieter dynamics, because one, this instrument's so hard to play quiet and keep the intensity and the clarity. So we have to spend a lot of time at those quieter dynamics. Also, when we play in a musical situation, we're not going to be able to get away with just playing one dynamic or two dynamics, especially if they're loud, right? Music contains all different dynamics, so we have to be able to practice. We have to be able to play at all those dynamics. So it behooves us to practice all those different dynamics. So practice your dynamics. Practice all different tempos. This is another big one. Okay, especially when we're younger, we like to do things fast. We like to just get to that point where we feel like we're playing it really fast. Fast means nothing if it doesn't sound good, if the quality is sacrificed, if there's no clarity, and if actually we're not executing it as well as we could at a slower tempo. So practice it at a slow tempo and gradually build the tempo. Gradually. And make sure you're able to retain the quality of the skill that you're working on. Okay, so different tempos, starting slow, start very slow and build your way up. Don't be afraid to take breaks. In fact, I encourage you to take breaks. I have to encourage myself to take breaks because once I get into that practice zone, I just want to keep going, right? I get into that zone, I just don't want to let it go. But it's actually good to take breaks because, one, physically, your body needs a break. You know, if you're in the same position for a long period of time, it can get tight. And then you kind of lose that relaxed state that you need to be in physically. So that's one reason. Another reason is it helps your mind. Just it clears your thoughts, right? And when you come back to your instrument, you have a little more of a fresh perspective on things that you're playing. And sometimes you come back and you sound better, right? Or you're able to execute the thing that you were just working on before your break a little better. So take breaks. It won't mess up your practice zone, I promise. A skill that I think is very important for us professional practicers, that's a new term I just came up with, um, is to be able to play one thing for a long period of time. Endurance. Endurance, right? So, something more specific to the drums is, let's say we take all the drums away and we focus on just playing the ride cymbal at one tempo for an hour, okay? And what this does for you, if you're doing it right, if you're focused on playing consistently with good technique, with a good feel and a good sound, and you're doing it in a relaxed state, after you get past that kind of period where you feel a little bit antsy that you're not doing anything else, you get to a point of it's kind of like meditation. And it can kind of be therapeutic and euphoric. And that's the place that you want to try to get to when you're practicing one thing for a long period of time. Because when you come back to it, or when you actually have to do that, it's going to feel very, very familiar and actually bring up good feelings as opposed to maybe anxious feelings. So work on something for a long period of time if you really want to master it. Have you ever tried recording yourself practice? Well, that can be the best and most objective way of listening to yourself and judging what adjustments you need to make. Sometimes we think we're doing something right, and then we practice it that way for a long period of time, only to find out maybe on the gig that, oh, actually, it doesn't sound the way I thought it sounds. And if we can kind of eliminate that by recording ourselves, you can get obsessed with it. Some people get obsessed. In fact, I got obsessed with it a few years ago. I'm not obsessed with it now, but I use it as a tool maybe a couple times a week to listen to what I'm working on, to make sure that I'm working on it in the way that I think I should be working on it, and it sounds and feels the way I want it to sound and feel. Okay, so try it. Record yourself. Practice with the mindset of when you get on a gig or you get on a performance, you want to make everyone else sound really good. Okay, so that means that we can't be so concerned with what we're doing. That means that we have to be so cold-blooded with what all of our skills and our technique that we're not concerned with it, that we can focus on everyone else and make them sound good while still retaining the quality of what we're actually playing. So focus with that in your practice session with that in mind, and I think it'll kind of put in perspective why we're practicing. Now here's a bonus Q-tip. So of course, practicing on our main instrument is so important, and we have to do that. But it's also important to practice music in other ways, right? You can improve as a musician by practicing a different instrument. You know, maybe you want to improve your piano playing skills or your bass or guitar skills, right? You can also improve and practice improving as a musician by listening. Listening is a huge component of how we improve as musicians. So make sure you're practicing listening every day to albums and listening to the masters play. Another way we improve is by going to gigs and seeing people play, right? You learn so much by observing other musicians, whether it's your peers or local professionals or some of the masters and luminaries of the music today, right? So all these there's so many different ways. Also, you can improve by composing and arranging. So there's so many different ways that you can improve. And I think all of these qualify as practicing. Maybe not in the traditional sense, but in the big picture sense. So as long as you have the intent of improving as a musician when you're doing all of these different things that involve music outside of your main instrument, you will definitely improve as a musician. And in fact, when you get back to your main instrument, you're going to be a much stronger and much more well-rounded player. So make sure you're exercising that ability to practice in ways outside of just on your instrument. All right, so I hope that was helpful and perhaps inspiring and motivating to get you in the practice room and improve your overall practicing to assure you are not wasting time in the practice room, because that is the worst feeling, walking away from the practice room feeling like, I didn't get anything done. So this hopefully will help you. If you enjoyed the video and you got something out of it, please make sure you press the like button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, because I will continue to put out videos that hopefully will be helpful to your overall musicianship. So until then, I will see you, and take care. Have fun practicing. Bye-bye.